going through our series on Thessalonians, we're also looking at our different mission partners, missionaries, and catching up with them over these few weeks. As many of you will know, we started a relationship with Compassion just before COVID hit. I'm having a chat with the CEO of Compassion. Her name's Clare. She's here with us. Hi, Clare.
Hey, Murray. Lovely to be here.
Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for joining us here at TAC Church online. Now, Clare, you and I go back a long way. I wonder if you remember when we first met?
I do. I remember you just come back from overseas with your family and you showed up at a youth church that my husband Matt and I were running in a little church school in Quakers Hill. And then I also had the great joy of meeting your sisters and your mum and dad as well, and actually really inspired by your mum and dad and their great desire in life to serve Christ and to really serve those who they came in contact with. So remember it well.
Yeah, great. It was about 20 years ago that we met, and I've connected with your husband a bit in the last few years. We're friends, but I haven't talked to you in probably 18 years or so, so it's really nice to catch up with you. Now, you've recently become the CEO of Compassion. I'm going to ask you a bit about how you got to that point, but just for those that aren't aware, what is Compassion?
Thanks, Mary. Compassion is a holistic child development agency. That's a big lot of words, which means we care deeply about children living in poverty. And so we have 7,900 local churches in 25 countries that run programs to help children in poverty. And I'm just astounded by that number, 7,900. And across the globe, so we have Compassions around the world, we have 2.1 million children in these programs. And so we look after their physical needs, their mental needs, their spiritual needs, and caring about their education as well. But our mission is to release children from poverty in Jesus' name. We do this because we believe God has told us that he cares greatly about these children, and we really want to see them come to know Jesus as they journey through their lives.
Wow, amazing. I know a lot of people in our church have relationships with children. They're sponsoring kids through Compassion. That's really great. So we love the organisation, and we're really keen to partner with you more as we figure out what that means for our church. But before we get to that, how did you become the CEO of Compassion? This is a very recent thing for you. What was your journey to that point?
Very recent and very crazy. If you'd asked me so this time last year, actually almost to the day, I was finishing my final interviews for the role. And even at this stage, I kept saying to my kids, don't worry, I've got very little chance of getting this role, because I just thought there'd be great people out there, and just wasn't sure this is what God wanted for our lives. So our journey with Compassion started 3 years ago. Matt, my husband, who's an Anglican minister, went on a Compassion trip with Colin Buchanan. It was one of the highlights of his life, getting to meet Colin and singing and dancing his way around the Philippines through churches. But what he came back thinking was there was no better way we could spend our time and our money than supporting Compassion because of the work they did and their heart for the gospel. And so about 18 months later, we took our church, 5 Anglican, over to the Philippines. We were a pretty motley crew, and we didn't realise how much we would be transformed by this. And I came home in some ways broken, but also knowing that as I partnered with Compassion, my life was transformed. I was transformed spiritually to trust God more, to see the power of his gospel at work. And so, again, we just thought, wow, what better can we do with our lives than help Compassion and help our church serve those in need. And so then when Tim Hanna's resignation came up, the former CEO, about a year ago, Matt said to me, why don't you apply? And I just sort of giggled and said, yeah, whatever. But then as we prayed through that and sort of took the steps, we really thought through, could he leave his role as a minister of an Anglican church in 5 which we'd really seen growth over the last 10 years. And so we tried to work out what was the biggest impact we could have for the gospel. And we thought for this moment in our lives, me taking on this role would be. So that was this time last year. And then I started in January in this role.
Wow, what a whirlwind. As you kind of
it sure was.
headed off to the Philippines, who knew where that was going to take you? What has COVID-19 meant for Compassion?
Yeah, it's meant lots of things. Firstly, I get to Zoom chat with Toongabbie Anglican, which is a delight because actually my husband used to attend your church many, many years ago. And he always told me it was the Toblerone church because of the triangle windows and the triangle. So, um, yeah, so that's different. I get to Zoom a lot more. I learned from people that there's a Zoom brain where there's only so much Zoom you can do a day. And I think about 10 hours is my limit. We've had to move our whole organisation to work from home. So that was tricky. But at the same time, some things haven't changed. I mean, we're still relying on our God, and He's steadfast and true and keeps His promises. And that's just been a great certainty and something that I think you hold on to even more and you're more aware of. And we're also serving children in need. And again, the need is so much greater now. So I think some of the peripheral things have been harder and not what I imagined, but the central things that I really am excited about haven't changed.
Are there kind of more kind of healthcare needs and requirements across your centres across the world? More like that kind of
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah, it's a good question. So one of the hardest things is not the virus itself, but the social distancing. As many of us know, social distancing is hard, but it's actually even harder in slum areas and in small sort of 2 by 2 meter rooms where families of 7 and 8 meet. And that means that lots of parents can't get work because they go out every day to work, but they're not allowed to, so they don't have income. So actually one of the biggest needs is food and water because families can't access that. We are seeing a number of children impacted by COVID and their families, but in general, the bigger issues are food, water, and safety.
Yeah, wow. So as a church, like we said, we started to try to build a relationship with Compassion. I haven't got very far on that, but what can we do even now to support the work of Compassion? What can we be praying for you and for the organisation?
I think pray for the organisation that we stay committed to God, that we stay committed to hearing His voice and really being a voice in this world about how much God cares for these children, and also that we do this work because God's told us to. This is His heart. So really want to stay strong to that. Please pray for the children and the projects. I mean, these are local churches around the world like you who are trying to do a massive job. Pray for them. If you want to pray more directly, on our website, on the front page, you can find it and click through. You can look at the countries where we are, and it's got the updated status. So if you really wanted to pray for a particular country, that's a great way. And then this is going to be a long disaster. This impact will be 2 to 5 years. And we're looking at stats that say 40 to 60 million people will actually go back into poverty. So if you have the ability to be generous and give, and I know not everyone does at the moment, that also will help the children. But yeah, partnering with Toongabbie is just a delight to be able to know that there's prayer supporters there and that you're supporting churches around the world. It's just very exciting.
Yeah, great. And so I assume we can find sponsorship details, giving details on your website. We'll link to those stuff. We'll put it on our Facebook group, those kinds of things, and someone else will pray for you and for Compassion a little later in our online service. So we'll be doing that. Anything else you'd like to add before we head off?
No, just thank you for the partnership. I really look forward to maybe one day visiting. As Murray said, my husband used to live around the corner and we've still got friends in Toongabbie. So hopefully when all of this is more open, I'll be able to come and visit and share with you more about the work we're doing.
Great, lovely. Thanks so much, Claire. Really appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Murray. See you.